This is how I play the game. Oh my god! What the fuck?
Oh my god.
Oh, Brightside Viking actually asked this. Brightside Viking asked the following. He says, internet bullying is obviously a problem that you've been struggling with for a long time now, where real defamation has taken place. Do you have any suggestions on how to curb the problem without it being a threat to free speech? And do you think that there should be some processes in place to hold people accountable for what they say on the internet? And what might that be? That is similar than taking people to court for it, okay? Well, let me put it this way.
Internet bullying is a major problem. Obviously, yeah, it's affected me and my business. Absolutely it has.
But, you know, just in general, the fact that people now, because the internet is a thing and social media and so much of our life is now digital and virtual rather than in person, it's a whole new can of worms when you open that up to a social aspect. I couldn't imagine growing up as a teenager now, because when I was growing up as a teenager, yes, there was internet, but really, like, the epitome of interaction on the internet was posting on a forum or instant messenger, you know, instant messaging between your friends or whatever. But outside of that, alright, outside of that, it wasn't a big deal. You didn't have cyberbullying where people would post shit up on your fucking Facebook and Twitter and troll you and expose things and dox you and do all this nasty shit to you. It just didn't exist. And so for me, it was a lot of in-person bullying. There's people who'd bully me in person, you know, push me around, give me wedgies and shit, and, you know, call you names or whatever. And I had to deal with a lot of that stuff. I am actually curious, has the in-person bullying reduced, you know, for teenagers? Because maybe now, because there's so much, let's face it, it's the era of being politically correct and being an, you know, SJW, and is it that now these schools have so become locked down that even if you fuck with anyone in person, that you get expelled from school right away and shit like that, and so now it's all become digital? I don't know, because I don't live, you know, in that situation. So I couldn't answer that question for you. But yeah, the second half of the question here, he says, is there a way to curb the problem without it being a threat to free speech? I don't know. This is a huge overarching issue, alright? The internet and anonymity behind bullying someone and stuff like that on the internet. It just so happens that when I started becoming popular on the internet is when this became a big thing, and of course that's how people found all these ways to fuck with me and everything over the years, right? Yeah, I mean...
Do I have, like, great advice? I don't. I've been looking myself for a solution for years. How do you stop it? You can't. Even fucking YouTube allows it. And that's the sad part. You can report all these bullying videos and everything on YouTube, and they still fucking allow it, which is ridiculous. Like, I don't know why they do, because it's obvious that it's negative and it's not what they want on the website. Do you think a bullying video on YouTube, all these negative shit that's said about me constantly and stuff, is advertiser friendly? No, advertisers don't want to advertise on a fucking video that's a slander against someone, but YouTube allows it. It's really, the responsibility for stopping this stuff is in the hands of these companies who are social media.
Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, these places need to regulate, you know, what goes on. Now, you might say, but like Viking just said, but that's against free speech. You're right. It absolutely is. It's against free speech. But there's got to be a line that has to be drawn. And the question is, where is that line? And I'm not here to answer that kind of question for you. I don't know. For me...
The thing is, I don't care about, like, I'm so above it.
You're not going to sit here and see me do, oh, today, instead of doing a productive gameplay stream or a Q&A session with my viewers and fans, I've decided I'm just going to sit here and just fucking ass blast someone and make fun of them and tear them a new asshole for a good 3 hours straight and slander them because that's what I'm all about. And I'm getting viral views from immature little shits because that's what I do. I'll never do that.
I'm not the kind of person.
So it's going to be up to these social media networks to decide what they want on their businesses and what they don't, honestly. Should there be processes in place to hold people accountable? Of course there should be. That's the problem, though, is that there isn't. Or if there is, like, for example, you know, people streaming on Twitch, even if they're blatantly violating the terms of service in a horrendous way, you get a slap on the wrist, because what they do is they suspend you, and then they bring you back and say, if you ever do it again, now you'll get a permanent ban. So you can even have these people doing horrendous things, and then they get to come back anyway. You know, YouTube is kind of hit or miss, because YouTube, sometimes you'll get disciplined for shit that you didn't even do wrong, like get all your fucking videos demonetized.
When your content is advertiser friendly, and then you'll have an asshole whose entire channel is just negative, slanderous shit about people, and they're fine. You know, it doesn't make any sense until these social media networks get their shit together. Like I said, there's really nothing that any of us can do.
It's not in our power. You know, I can't sue every person who does a negative video about me. That's preposterous. And I'm far more focused on the positive and doing new stuff and content than worrying about, oh my God, you know, someone's saying something negative again about me today. The latest one, this is hilarious, because people are tweeting it to me, which is so stupid because I don't care. Some guy, I guess, went back years ago. So, because think about it, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, when was the last time I played that game for YouTube, right? Years upon years ago. I don't even know if I ever did a direct capture. That might have been the era of the camera. I don't even know. He went back, and apparently there's certain matches that I played in Third Strike that it uploaded replays to, like, their servers or whatever, and I guess those replays capture your button inputs. So what they're doing, frame by frame, they're going through my matches, and they're saying, oh, look, during the match, Phil said that the game didn't give him the move he wanted, but here's where his actual inputs are, and see, he did this, and not what he claimed he wanted, therefore he's at fault. And apparently he put this video out, and now people are tweeting me about it.
Complete asshole, complete idiot. It's completely stupid and false, because guess what? The inputs that are captured on an online replay are the inputs that the central server, whatever you want to call it, got. Not the input that I put into the controller, but after the lag, after the latency problems, the input drops, whatever resulted as an input is what's captured in those replays, not physically what's actually pushed on the controller. So the entire video is completely fucking erroneous. Now, should I sit here and make a whole video series about it and then fucking give this guy copyright takedowns and fucking sue him? Or I could just say, fuck it, the guy's an idiot, and anyone who watches the video and believes it is a fucking gullible idiot. So I don't care, and I'm just gonna go on, and I'm gonna do Ask the King, and I'm gonna fucking make videos of gameplay and have fun and keep doing what I'm doing. That's the attitude I have. There's no reason for every little idiot who attacks me to go after them. It's sad because there are thousands of gullible morons, including big fucking YouTubers, who believe completely nonsensical things because I don't address every one of them and pick them the fuck apart to make the facts of the matter come through. But that's not what I'm about. It's not what I'm about. And I'm not going to bother with it.
Phil, why don't you take public transportation like buses or trains in Washington? Is there a problem with them? I remember back when you wanted to get rid of your BMW and when you and Leanna were sharing the car, you didn't consider those options. Well, public transportation is good in some ways and bad in others. It's good because it's not very expensive. You can easily, you know, get around town for $1 or $2 sometimes. And, you know, it's nice for people who don't have the option of driving a car, owning a car, to get around. It's bad because it's inconsistent, it's not reliable all the time, you know, you're reliant on someone else to do their job properly to get from place to place. So I'll give you an example, alright? When we first moved here in 2014, my ex-girlfriend did not have a driver's license, so she had to go to driving school to learn how to drive in order to get her driver's license. So, to go to driving school, she would try to take a bus.
Because I was working, right?
Now, there were a few times when I offered I did drive her, but for the most part, she said, fine, I'll just take the bus, it's not a big deal. I'm not exaggerating, in a 2-month period, 3 fucking times, the bus broke down, and I had to drive her to driving school because the bus kept breaking down, or was late. There was one day, the bus never showed up, and then 2 other times, the bus broke, where the doors wouldn't fucking close on the bus, and so she couldn't take the bus, and I had to go pick her up from the bus stop and drive her to driving school, alright? That's the consistency of public transportation, at least around here. I don't know back home, because in Connecticut, I never rode the bus or anything, but you know, around here, it just doesn't seem to be consistent. And a lot of the times, they're late. That was the other problem, too. Like, before she had her license, she would be using the bus to get back and forth to work. And so half the time, the bus would be late. So she had to end up taking the bus way earlier than when she was supposed to be at work in order to sit there and waste an hour or two because the buses just weren't consistent on time. So there you go. That's really one of the major issues. Now, for me, to take buses all around, like, first of all, I don't go a lot of places, right? I mean, for me, where do I realistically go? Grocery shopping. Can't take a bus grocery shopping. How am I going to carry,
you know, bags of heavy groceries on and off a bus and stuff? It's not like I'm going to get one bag. You know, when I go grocery shopping, typically I restock the house on certain things and stuff, and I end up with a few bags at least. I'm not going to be going on a bus with tons of bags and shit like that.
Other places that I go, typically, you know, the other thing is the time that buses take. You have to wait for the bus to show up, get on the bus has several stops, versus if you have a car, you just go straight there and back, right? If I need to get something done, zoom, zoom, great. Versus, oh, now I gotta sit around and wait. So there's positives and negatives. But, in particular, around here, like I said, sadly, the buses just didn't seem very consistent. It was interesting because it was one of the things we wanted to test when we moved out here. We were like, gee, I wonder if, you know, this will actually end up being something that we can do and consistently. Maybe a car won't be a big deal, but no, we quickly found out that it was not a reliable thing and that we were going to have to rely on a car. So there you go. Oh, from Bleary Line 7, he says, how is your new car doing? It's been a little while and I hadn't heard much about it. I really haven't shared much about my new car because the bottom line is, seems like whenever I share this personal shit, people find ways to turn it against me or whatever. And, you know, so many people were giving me shit. You have a BMW, but you keep saying that you have no money. Even though they don't understand how a fucking lease works. And I was stuck with this car for the longest time. I didn't want it. The car I have now, no lie, basically cost half as much as the BMW. Drives pretty much almost identical to the BMW. The one thing I would say is it doesn't have as much horsepower, that's for sure. It doesn't have the pickup power, and the brakes aren't as good where it doesn't stop on a dime, alright? But outside of not having as much horsepower and not stopping on a dime, I actually like this car better than my BMW. The looks of this car, I actually like the look of the car better. Okay, the colors and everything that I got for it, better. Interior looks better to me, too. I think it's a much better looking car. It has features that the BMW didn't have. It actually has, the backup cam. So when I'm backing out, I can see behind me. I don't have to go like this, trying to see through the window. No. And the backup cam is a godsend. I can tell you, man, I can see everything. It makes it so much easier now to do stuff in parking lots and everything. I love the backup cam. I'm surprised I didn't have it in the BMW. Of course, I could have got it, and they would have charged me like thousands of dollars extra. But this car just came with it, by default. The car also has a lot of safety features that I really haven't used yet, but it has safety features, again, that were standard that weren't in the BMW. So, for me,
I love my new car.
I think it handles good. I actually like the looks a lot better than the BMW. It's a lot cheaper, which is good, because what I needed to do was reduce my payments by half. I'm not even exaggerating. What I pay now for this car versus what I was paying for the BMW is about half. So that's pretty damn good.
So there you go. My car is great. I love it. I barely drive it. But when I do drive it, I love driving it. I have fun. I really like the new car, and I'm happy that I got what I got. There you go.
Okay, last question from Iconic Christian. He says, are you going to redo games that you've played on your channel since you now have a better setup? What he's saying is, am I ever going to go back and replay games I've already played on my channel? Because now I do direct capture, I have a better audio quality. Listen.
That is actually what Patron's Choice is kind of all about.
People who pledge to my Patreon, when I do a Patron's Choice event, that's your opportunity to say, man, there was a game Phil played way back in the day, the quality was shit, now things are way different, I'd like to see him replay that game, or maybe play the remastered version of the game that came out since then. That's your opportunity, alright? I'm not going to just drop everything and not play a new release or whatever in order to cover an old game like that, you know what I mean?
I prefer a penne. Oh! Easy to eat. Oh! Phil's a faggot. Phil's fat. Phil's a loser. Phil's a beggar. Alright, I'm not dead, but I swear to God I wish I fucking was.